The big news in League Land as of today is that the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs have sacked their coach, Des Hasler. They obviously are a big fan of our show at the board level because they have gone, watched it and punted him. Now, boys, it's a big move by them. It is your fault. Do you feel bad?
I don't feel bad at all, mate. I think the writing was on the wall for Des all year, Des, I get along great with Des. He's a great bloke, great coach, but I think he just wasn't the right fit for the Bulldogs. They demand success-driven business, and they didn't make the 8 this year. So, it does suck, but, they've got to pay him out a couple of mil, so Des should be just sitting back and having a couple of these and just relax a bit.
With the new haircut you probably have to get. Ren, what do you reckon?
Yeah, look, mate, it's very cutthroat sort of business, but I've been pushing for a while. I don't think that he was the right person for the job. He got the club to 2 grand finals and did a great job, but it was time for him to move on. We spoke about it on previous episodes. He's one of those hit-and-run coaches. The longevity of Des at that club just wasn't going to exist.
Who's the next coach out there that's going to fit the Bulldogs coach? Is it Dean Pay? Is it Jim Dimmick, who's been sitting in the wings for 4 or 5 years?
They're homegrown.
They're homegrown. They've never gone out of their way to bring someone else who's from the outer in.
Explain to me how a club can go from extending a bloke's contract 2 months ago. They were playing like bastards before it. They've got no better, they've got no worse, and all of a sudden he's got the punt. What are they thinking? You've got to take some accountability at board level to say you give a bloke extension and then you give him the arse a month later when nothing really's changed.
Well, it's accountability because they knew from the start that the salary cap was going to be 9.2 million and they went and still spent 10 million. So they obviously tried to bully the NRL into putting the salary cap. Therefore, they've lost players. They've back-ended deals. James Graham's gone now, and now someone else is going to lose their spot because they need to bring Foran and Woods into under the cap. So it's just created this huge mess that someone had to go. And not unfortunately, I think Des pretty much is the CEO, the board, and the coach of that club. Everything goes through him, and he's fallen on his sword. As simple as that. Will. I don't hate the guy at all, but to run the Bulldog club, you need Bulldog people in there. Dean Page, Jim Dimmick, 2 blokes whose names is going to be tossed up. I don't want to see any other coach outside of the Canterbury culture or know what it means to be a Canterbury player. I know it sounds biased. Run that club. And it's going to go. They're going to go through a rebuilding phase now. It's going to be 3 or 4 years before they make the semis again. But it's just the way it is. Anything sooner than that would be great. But they've lost so much that they're going to have to start again, bring in their own style. Hopefully it works straight away and they become successful. But it just had to happen. Des had to go.
They're tossing up Michael Maguire's name. I mean,
cut from the same cloth.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
It is. Surely they cannot bring Maguire in. He's the same as Des. He can come in, he can build the culture really good, and then get him to a semi-final, grand final, whatever, and then he's out.
But it's not a Bulldog culture.
Yeah, but it won't be the Bulldogs culture that the fans want, the players want, the ex-players want. The Bulldogs fan base is massive, and they're pissed off. We get so many hits on Twitter and Instagram and all this kind of stuff going, what's wrong with the club? I don't know what's wrong with the club. All I know is that it is the wrong culture at the moment and something has to be done from the board all the way down to the coaching, all the way down to the players. And
is
they
Foran
need to build.
I
don't know what Foran and Woods is going to do, man. That's $2 million sitting right there when you're already $1 million over the cap.
No, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they need some direction in the halves. I think Foran can do a job for him. He's got some hamstring problems and a couple of old injuries, but you give him a good pre-season. He's the perfect fit for Canterbury, especially the way he plays. He plays tough, and I want to see that old Dogs of War back. I'm sick of seeing 2 nicer players. I want to see a forward pack that's just angry. That Dogs of War mentality that you just go out there and you just go out there to kill every week. I don't know if
buying Aaron Woods is going to help that.
Well, I think he needs to be taught the Bulldog culture, and that's what it was. I didn't know how to do that when I came from South.
Yeah.
But it'll be bred into him if they have the right staff in place. There's a bloke named Gary Carden out there that Will knows very well, who I'll owe my whole career to, and I've told him that before. He's the one that took that South Sydney, he used to call me sponge cake, out.
I was blancmange.
Blancmange, and he turned you into a king. You were blancmange.
It was sponge cake and blancmange.
He used to call me a South Sydney sponge cake week so-and-so, but, it sort of was it was pretty quickly that I became a Bulldog, and that's the club that I love, and I want to see them go in the right direction. I think they're going in the right direction. They had to make this decision. They couldn't drag it out any longer because it's going to be, before you know it, they'll be back in the pre-season.
Did you notice that, though, when you were there? In 2014, did you notice how different has the culture gone down from 2014 to where it is now, or do you reckon it's just been...
I always said Des's ethic is the same. It's always been hard work, you know. It was just different when I went there in terms of the fact that... remember the old Belmore gym? You'd see, when I've mentioned this before, you'd see all the old players up on the walls, and I didn't watch him play. I didn't watch Tony Curry play, but I knew who he was. You know, Jim Dimmick, Dean Pay, you know, even like Folksy. We just knew everything about their career.
Tunks, Peter Kelly, all them blokes. They were just bred.
Robbo.
They were bred into you. Like as he said, like Gary Carden, he was responsible for when we won in 2004. There was 11 or 12 people that come through his system.
Yeah.
He's getting ousted at the moment.
Rocky Elsom wrote a book. He was at the Canterbury system. He was about a year younger than me.
Yeah,
we came through reserve grade and flagged with us. And then I think he wrote a book after he became Wallaby captain, and I think he wrote a good part about this Gary Carden, about what he was taught and what he instilled in sort of that tough mentality of becoming a professional. So, I mean...
Ren, I don't understand. I mean, like I come through that same school, like when I was down in 98, 99, just a couple of years before Ren. I had to go through the Gary Carden school because he would treat you like an absolute piece of dirt. Like I come from Newcastle, where Newcastle, our skill level was high, but our fitness was low and our mental toughness was down. You know what I mean? So like before you got to first grade, he would train you harder than any first grader would train. So by the time you got to Steve Folkes,
You were ready.
You were ready to actually play first grade. So by the time I got to first grade when I was 19, I didn't go back. I only went back because of off-field indiscretions. That's about it. But I never went back for form or anything like that, because once I was there, I was built and I was there. So I stayed there for, 10 years. But I mean, I'm not sure where that culture has gone now. And this is where we heard the rumblings from some of these people that we know that got ousted by the club, like the guys that have been there for years, like the guy Larry Britton, who was a strapper for 30 years, he was there through the 80s and all that, the dogs of war mentality. He's got nothing to do with the club because of the Des regime.
I guess playing devil's advocate though, could you blokes be the ghost of the past? Is that what the club needs to go back to? I mean, you blokes had success with that, but if they don't have the player group that's going to do the same, they might not have the toughness that you blokes had. They've got a different style. I guess if they promote from within and they get Pay or they get Dimmick, well, they're the same. They're cut from the same cloth as you blokes. They're going to want that style. But do they have the players for that?
Well,
not at the moment.
Well, I think they do. And if someone like Dean Pay comes in, who we all know was an absolute machine as a Canterbury player, it's a non-negotiable with him. You either play like the way he used to play, you're not going to make their first grade side.
But James Graham pretty much, like me and James Graham had our little run-ins here and there, but like he epitomised what Bulldogs was all about.
And they got rid of him.
You know what I mean? Like you played with James.
Mate, he was probably one of, hands down, the most inspirational people I've ever come across in my life. And I played with some good... Look,
understand why, but...
Every week...
Do you though? Do you understand
Only because of salary caps. Only because of the salary cap. Nothing else. That's the only reason why I understand.
But if he epitomises the Bulldogs and the proper Bulldogs culture you're talking about, and they get rid of him, and I'm not bagging Aaron Woods.
Yeah, who else?
You're talking about, you've brought up Des' stats book. Aaron Woods' stats are terrific. But now you've got Aidan Tolman, who's terrific at stats, who you said you'd dust up. And then you've got Aaron Woods still.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean...
they're not the sort of blokes that you build the back of.
I think I can't speak highly enough of Aidan Tolman. I probably should have said some more on that first episode. Mate, he'll go out there and he'll do a job for you every week, no matter how big he is. He's only about 100
I wasn't bagging the shit
No, you weren't bagging him, but
I was.
He does a job for Canterbury every week in, week out. He's tireless. He's a good leader, he's a good family man, and he's exactly what the Bulldogs need. Now, just because he doesn't go out and take it off your head doesn't mean he's not a Bulldog. I think he's perfect. Moses Mbai, he came through the Gaz Carden regime, so he's going to know what it takes to be that kind of Canterbury player.
Can you build that? You can build that pack around Woods, Clemmer, Josh Jackson.
Clemmer's a Bulldog.
You know what I mean? Clemmer's a
Jackson's a
Bulldog. That's what I'm
Bulldog.
saying. Jackson and Clemmer.
Yeah, right.
Like, Dean Pay, Jim Dimmick can instill that toughness in them players. Like Clemmer's one of the best forwards in the comp. Josh Jackson's arguably one of the best back rowers. Aiden Tolman is one of them people that you just need in your pack, regardless of what I said. I was just having a crack at Des's stats. But I mean, like even young Leisha, the last 3 games, let the kid run.
He runs, he gets 3 players, right? So it's pretty simple, you know. I think Des was too stuck in his ways and wasn't willing to adjust to the playing group that he had, you know.
Because what about the young Polynesian kids that come off the bench? Well, they're a bunch of little young animals. They're hungry as hell. So I'm thinking next year, you get the right coach, you get the right players, he makes some space for foreign because he is a Bulldog. But I'm worried about he's only going there because Des Hasler. Des Hasler is his mentor. He loves Des. He thinks he plays the best football under Des. Now, you know.
I can't wait to see Clemmer let loose. Like, he's just a young O'Mealy.
He's a 2K17 of Mark O'Mealy.
He's the one at every other side. You'd look in the big league and go, oh shit, we're up against Clem this week, you know, because he is an angry bugger. Maybe his form might have been a bit down this year.
He played well.
He's 80 minutes in the middle. What are they doing?
I mean, he's a Bulldog. Like, he's a real tough kid, and I've got a lot of time. I've got a lot of time for all of them.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of time for all of them, but the shackles are off now. I think whatever coach brings them in needs to play the style that the Bulldogs always play, and play a style that's built around that squad. Play to the strengths of that squad.
I'm pretty sure if Des said, like, just grab, Clem and just said, mate, go out there and just tear someone's head off. I'm pretty sure he would. Like, he's got that in him. He's an animal. But I mean, and to just say, look, I'll play you 65 minutes of just absolutely banana football. You know what I mean? Go nuts. Instead of going, all right, I'm going to play 80 minutes in the middle. Like, then his runs become a little bit pedestrian by the end of the halves. He's making nearly 30 plus tackles a game, and he's doing 20 plus hit ups.
Yep.
He's not a Craig Fitzgibbon or a Nathan Hindmarsh. Heine only does 5 hit ups, but I mean, like, he's not that. He's not that.
Sorry,
like,
Heine.
Don't worry about it, Heine. You've heard it before.
Well,
but I mean, but you just need to know how to play Clem. I reckon if he goes, give me 60 minutes, Clem, I'll give you 10 minutes each side of the half, he'll become a way better footballer. His leg speed will be up to the game. You know, sometimes when you get told to play 80 minutes, you go within yourself. You know that, Reni.
You need
that energy at the back end of them halves. It's like, and in the middle, some people just can't do it, man. I mean, like, Clem's a big boy. You know, he's about 115, 6'5". Mate, he needs to be played the right way. If you play him the right way, like they do in Australia and New South Wales, that's why Clemmer got the Brad Fittler medal, because he was the best player in Origin. He played him 65 minutes, and he was going nuts at a Queensland team.
Well, I know whatever people say, you blokes have got the Bulldogs at heart. You both consider yourself to be Bulldogs through and through, and I think we all wish the Bulldogs well for next year.
Well, I'm North Queensland through and through, but
they pulled that statue.
like you said, Bernard, you don't want to see anyone lose their job, but I'm sure he's getting paid out $1 million, and then someone else is going to be accountable for that. So
Des belongs in the NRL. He's going to be a first grade coach. He's a first grade coach. So it's like, well, the Titans are going to come up. They don't have a coach. They're going to be going with the Walker brothers, which I hope they get a shot at it, because I think they can change the game with their new sort of way that they play. But if the Titans want someone who can come in, set a culture straight away, and get results pretty much straight away, Des is your man. But if you want to change the game and go with someone that's a little bit from left field, the Walker brothers, man. Are you a big fan of the Walker brothers, the way they play?
I actually said today,
the way they coach,
that I don't know the way they coach, and I'm interested to see.
Crazy, man. I don't know whether it's going to be a success in the NRL, because
they talk about having the longer you've got the ball in your hands, so they'll just.
It's a possession thing, and it's a fitness thing. So they obviously they run each other into the ground. They're fit as hell, but does that work at an NRL level? I'd love to see a team give it a crack. Like you can see. I don't know, or they could just shock the world. Like, everyone's probably sick of this structured football, because that's all we've been getting at the moment. Melbourne come in, we started that structured football around about 2006-07, and it hasn't changed. So the fans probably getting sick of it. And like, maybe the Walker brothers can bring some different element into the game. Obviously, they're going to have to tinker with it a little bit with what they do, because they obviously want to pass the ball around, and obviously NRL defences are a lot stronger than Queensland Cup defences. But, you know, some of their little tricks that come up, you can see Brisbane, what they're doing. They're good mates with Wayne Bennett. They're coming in there and saying, you know, what's the loss if you're going to, you know, do the dropout, if it's good enough, and it's a high percentage move, but, you know, if you got the right people, and, you know, twice the Broncos got it back. So, I don't know. Food for thought.